Why don't you come on in and have a seat with me, and we'll go on a bit of an Oklahoma ride. My name is Tony, and originally from Oklahoma, but wanted you to enjoy a bit of time with me, reflecting on some of the days gone by in Oklahoma, and how it was back in those days, growing up in a small city called Ponca City in northern Ponca. Well, I can still remember the cool, crisp, clear nights we would spend at Grandma's house in the fall. Well, often on those Saturday nights, many of my cousins, Tim and I, and Tim was my younger brother, would throw one of Grandma's thick handmade quilted blankets on the front lawn and sleep there in the cool of the night air. And Gram's house was rather secluded with not many homes nearby, and there were no street lights, so we had an unobstructed path to the clear Oklahoma sky on those nights on 7th Street. We'd look up at the deep black backdrop that God created and see a multitude of tiny stars bursting onto the scene with ever-brilliant light. Look, Tim, I think I see the Big Dipper, I said. I think it's the shape with the biggest frying pan handle on it. How do you know it's not the Little Dipper, he said. I don't know, I'm just guessing, I said. In the distance, we could see smoke rising from one of the oil refineries owned by Conoco Oil Company. It's kind of funny how the Conoco used to always let the smoke off at night. I'm not exactly sure why they did, but they did. And well, this was Oklahoma where oil was king, so I guess one should see a few smokestacks and oil derricks pumping black gold out of the ground here and there. Yes, and even on the state capitol grounds in Oklahoma City, there's an oil derrick standing today. Conoco Oil Company, formerly known as Marland Oil Company, grew to be one of the nation's largest oil companies at one time. E.W. Marland started Marland Oil Company in 1911 in Ponca City when he had his first oil gusher on land that he actually leased from a Ponca Indian. In 1922, E.W. controlled about 1/10 of the oil reserves of the entire world. So more than 1/3 of Ponca City's population at that time worked for Marland. And my grandpa Marshall, on Mom's side of the family, worked several years for Marland, and later my Aunt Betty was a security guard for Conoco before she passed away. E.W. had a net worth back in those days of $85 million, which today would equate to about $910 million. In 1922, Marland had 600 gas stations that covered 11 different states, believe it or not. He later became Oklahoma's 10th governor. In spite of his vast wealth, he gave back to the city of Ponca in numerous ways. He's very loyal to and giving to his employees as well. He cared a great deal about each one of them as a person. And as of the writing of this book, actually, there is a movie in production that's titled The Ends of the Earth that tells the life and times of Marland and actually the history or the story of the Marland family. So I would lay there, or just laying there, pondering on those Saturday nights. We'd all be on a high alert for the occasional shooting star bursting across the sky, leaving a quick moving tattle trail of light fading into the night sky. And on those random occasions, we'd all wish off the same star. And the secret to having your wish come true was, of course, to never tell each other the wish. Or if you got an FM, which meant failed miserably, on your report card and somehow could not contain yourself with a secret, then you would, or pretty much could count on the wish not coming true. And more often than not, we'd eventually get to telling a scary story of some kind or another, which prompted us to, of course, sleep with toothpicks propping our eyes open most of the night. And the best part of those nights was in just being together and creating memories. None of us ever had much money growing up, but what we did have was much more valuable. than any amount of money in our pockets. I guess you could say we pretty much had nothing, but yet we had everything. We had love, and we should never take for granted that love of family and our friends. Never take that